It's me, Mango Unit, here to bring you the first ever Scratch tutorial that I've ever done. Uh, by the way, I'm not that good at Scratch, so we'll see how this goes. First thing you're going to want to do is delete the Scratch Cat, which I already did. You're going to want to go into Costumes, Player, Hitbox, alright? This tutorial itself is actually a 2.5 top-down game. 2.5D top-down game. That means it's top-down, but you can jump. Uh, and this is just the first episode. As we do more episodes, we'll handle variable jump heights, enemies, eventually time travel, and yes, that can be done in Scratch. Don't ask me how. So yeah, you're gonna want to do a player and a hitbox. The player can just be whatever, but the hitbox has to be exactly centered and preferably it tops out around half the player's height because you want the body to kind of go over a wall, right? I'm gonna do this. Yeah, so just so he's got a thing. There we go. So we got the player, right? First thing we're gonna do is make a variable. Player underscore x, right? Then we're gonna do player underscore y. And then 3 dimensions. Holy crap. Alright. Now we're doing a list block, right? This block is gonna run without screen refresh. We're gonna call this one run between frames, right? Because it's going to run without screen refresh. So all of the code in this block is going to run before the game actually updates, before the next frame plays. Uh, that's something you guys should keep in mind for the future. Right, forever run between frames. We're going to set X, Y, and Z on to 0, 0, 0 because I want to start in the center of the screen, right? You know the drill. Cool. I'm going to make another block. Move X input Y input Z. What the? Okay. I'm sorry. Apparently pretty popular. Z input. This is the important part. Speed. Speed. Right? And this has to run without screen refresh. So what we're gonna do is we are going to put a minus here and a minus here, and we're gonna leave Z blank for now. What we're gonna do in move X is we are going to go to sensing, right? Key space pressed. We're going to take a D. And I'm used to turbo warp, just being able to type in the thing. A. We're going to do D minus A. Now you're probably like, what? Why are we doing that? You'll see. You'll see. I'm just going to delete this and go with that. There we go. Now, we're going to do S. No, W. Yes, W. I know my letters. Trust me, I did pass kindergarten. There we go. And for speed, and let's just go with 5. Now, in this block, in move, we're going to do something very, very specific. We are going to go to X, right? We're going to take this plus, right? We're going to take this plus, right? Player X, player Y, right? You're following along. I can assume you're following along. Then, we're going to put a multiply, and then another multiply, right? And we're going to do Y input, wait no, Y input, X input, speed, and speed. Right now, we're leaving out the Z dimension. We're only dealing with the top-down stuff. All right, I'm sure you can understand why. Now, what this is gonna do, obviously, that's just gonna put him in the center, and that's just gonna move him around occasionally, right? Give me a moment. We're going to change player X and player Y. Yes. Yes, that's what we're going to do. We're going to change player X and player Y. And it's going to be X input, Y input, speed, speed. I think that's right. I believe that is correct. No. As I said, I'm not the best at Scratch, so just bear with me. There we go. Awesome. That's great. That's great. You see that? We got top-down movement, and it's doing pretty good, right? You know, we got the whole shabam, shaboozy, and we don't have to have if, do this, right? Awesome. I'm actually gonna do this, right? Move X, 0, move Y, 0, and this will help with collision somewhat. And it's still perfectly capable. Now, I'm gonna add in a wall. I know, incredibly unique concept. No one's ever done that before. Boom. Incredible. I know. I'm an absolute genius. Calling this wall. I'm calling this wall too. It's insane. Literally insane. Never been thought of before this moment. No. The wall has no code as of this moment, but it will, but it will. Alright? First thing we're going to do is we are going to put this in the front layer. Then we're going to switch the costume to the hitbox in the move block. Switch costume to hitbox, and then at the very end, switch costume to player. Now, because it's running in between frames, because it is not running on the frame, you will never see the hitbox in the game. And that's useful because we're going to use the hitbox's proportions, this shape, to deal with collision. Alright? So you don't have a problem with the player's odd shape if you have funky circle walls or whatever. Yeah. Now, because we have the dimensions of the hitbox, we're ignoring the player, who I'm just going to name Bob. We are ignoring Bob. We don't care about Bob. Bob sucks. Bob can go screw himself. We are with the hitbox, okay? What we're gonna do is if not touching wall, we do this. Now look at this. Oh my god, he stopped. But I also, I can't move. That's not what we want. I'm gonna check to make sure I didn't screw the camera up. Oh, I definitely did. That's what you're looking for. Riveting content. Absolutely. There we go. We want to be able to move when we press a button. So this isn't quite right. That's why, hear me out here, we're going to drag a while block repeat until block. Again, I'm used to turbo warp. It's called while in that thing. We are going to drag this thing over, right? And we're actually going to put that right there after that, and right there after that, right? While touching the wall, we are going to change these values by subtract, x input, y input. And that's just going to be 1, -1, or +1, depending on the value. Hang on. And assuming... Ooh, I think I screwed it up. Is there really no while? I have been spoiled by turbo warp. Okay, I'm just gonna do if, else, not touching wall. Do this. If touching wall. Do this. Switch costume. There we go. Let's hope this works. You see, kids, this is why turbo warp is so good. How did I do? Yeah, that's not what I'm looking for. Give me a moment. That functions as a while. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there we go. We get our perfect collision. Incredible. So as you see, I'm getting great sensitivity. I'm not even going into the wall. There's no pushback. Nothing. It's great. It's incredible. And just so happens that I can hold a button and still walk to the wall, and I continue going. And you want to know why that is? That's because of this. If I just did this, right? I'm holding 2 buttons and it's stopping his movement. Because I'm technically going into the wall, and then it's inversing both of these. But if I do this, it's only inversing one of them. One of them, because one is handling what. This script is being run twice simultaneously. One time is handling X, one time is handling Y. So it's not gonna inverse the other one. It's just gonna handle the collision for the relevant movement. I think. I think that's what it's doing. I'm not entirely sure. Forgive my dogs. They are barking away. Now, how do we do that whole Y thing? Well, here's what we do. I'm gonna add in a shadow. I know, insane. Actually, I'm gonna put that on the hitbox. Yeah, shadow. Incredible, incredible. This is the content you're looking for, I assume. This is why you subscribe to a music channel. It's the only possible reason. Awesome. That looks good. We are going to actually I'm gonna create a clone, right? And this clone is gonna run between frames, but it's gonna have its own block. Clone run between frames, right? Because we're gonna have the clone running its own independent code. Alright? And we're gonna have yes. Yes. We're gonna do something similar, except the clone isn't actually moving, the clone is just locking to the player position. So we're setting X, Y, set Y, Z, Z set. And I'm gonna change that T to a Y. Again, I know letters. I swear, I promise, I am not a charlatan. And it's gonna do this, right? It's going to set player X, player Y, and here's the careful part. Player Y plus player Z. Alright? And here's what the code is for that. I don't know why I made my own block for it, but I'm just gonna go with it. It might come in handy in the future. Who knows? What am I doing? There we go. That's it. There we go. Awesome. Now, look at what happens when I actually turn this into a slider. It goes up. The clone goes up. Alright? I'm gonna switch this into a shadow. Switch costume to shadow. Set ghost effect to 75. Because, you know, it's a shadow, right? It's, yeah, there we go. And when the clone is created, it's gonna switch a costume to player. And it's gonna set the ghost effect to 0. Because it's not a shadow, it's a solid thing. And, yeah, there we go. That shadow it's screwing with me. It's taunting me. There we go. That works. That's good enough. That is good enough. Yeah. Oh, I like that though. Yes, that's it. That's the shadow I'm looking for. There we go. That's awesome. So you see, when we manipulate the Z, because of the way that the game is coded, it looks as if it's rising up because the shadow remains, even though it's not. And check this out. If I go here, I'm colliding with it. I move the player up. I still can't go past it, right? Because obviously the wall is still there. So the player goes down. Boom. There we go. I want to see how long this is. I do not understand OBS. Oh, 19 minutes. It'll take like maybe 3 minutes to make a jump, so I'm gonna do that, round it up to 22 minutes. I'm gonna make a jump block. jump force. And I'm going to run it without screen refresh because, again, all of this is technically running. No, I'm not. What am I going to do? Yes, I'm gonna run it without screen refresh. And I'm going to pray that I'm not making a horrible mistake here, because I might be. And I'm going to make a variable called player jump force. Yeah. Now I'm going to just set this to 15, right? And I'm going to have the jump be tied to the space button. So when the space button is pressed, it does the thing. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. So I'm going to set player jump force to jump force, right? Then first of all, this is going to go in an if thing. If player Z equals 0, so if the player's on the ground, right? Set the jump force to jump force. Repeat however many frames you want it to go up for. It's going to change player Z by player jump force, and then it's going to change player jump force by -1, and let's see how that works. What the hell? I see the issue. I see the issue. The issue here is that since it's player Z is equal to 0, it's setting this to it's setting this to 0 because space is obviously equal to 0, and then it's just reducing it by might have to let's see if that does anything. Nope, because it's running in a screen in between frames block. Bear with me. Bear with me. No reason not to do this, right? There is no reason not to. And key space plus key space pressed. Boom. Okay. And then I'm gonna need a run on frame block. And that's gonna run every frame. So not in between the frames, it's gonna run on the frame, so repeats will actually work correctly instead of immediately snapping. Right? You get it. Yeah. There we go. There we go. That's moving up and it's slowly decreasing, right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what it's doing. I'm gonna change that to -2. Great. Now I'm gonna do this as a repeat until all of this stuff, right? So then we get, okay, do that by 1, right? Boom. And then, check this out. This is the key. Set player jump force to 0. Set player Z to 0. Okay. Now there's a problem here. How did I do this last time? I'm gonna pause the video. We're live again. Yeah. The reason I paused it is because I wanted to look over an old project of mine without feeling like I was cheating. There we go. I'm just gonna add with gravity, with gravity, and I have to run this without screen refresh, apparently. And because I have to run it without screen refresh, I am going to not do this, but do that. And I'm going to do 15 and 10. And I'm going to put this. Do away with this. I'm going to keep this because I might need it in the future. I'm going to do away with this and put in this. I'm going to change this to player Z, player jump force. Again, I'm sorry for cheating, but you know, who cares? Player jump force, player Z, jump force, player jump force, player jump force, player Z, player Z. Now, if you're wondering where I got those icons, I just did them on, search up, Earth symbol, copy paste. Now what this is doing, and the reason I didn't just use the scripts from the old project is because I tried to make scrolling and the collision didn't work properly. But the collision actually works here. What this is doing is, I need a stronger force here. And a stronger gravity. There we go. What this is actually doing is, if the player Z is greater than 0, it is changing player Z by player jump force minus gravity. Now what that means is if the player is not on ground level, then it will increase by the jump force and decrease by gravity simultaneously. So if it's in the air, it'll fall or rise depending on the stuff. Now, if space is pressed, if player Z is equal to 0, it sets player Z to 1, so it initiates being in like the fall slash rise state, and then it sets player jump force to jump force. So since jump force is higher than gravity, it's going to be a positive number. Specifically, it's going to be 27 minus 15, which I believe is 13. Don't check my math on that. And then, because it's bigger than 0, player jump force will decrease until it is 0. And then once it's 0, gravity, of course, is in full effect. That's like the max acceleration for gravity. And then once player Z is less than 0, just set it to 0 so that you never go below ground level. Now, once we get to variable heights, I'll set like floor height instead of having all these zeros here. Specifically this, this, and this. But we're not at that level yet. We're at 31 minutes. I think I can do scrolling. Scrolling is really easy. I'm gonna do scrolling. Run between frames, because we want everything to be at the same speed, right? Run between frames. And I'm gonna take this. Boom. I'm actually gonna have a minus and a minus. And I'm gonna add in two variables, object x for the sprite only, and object y for the sprite only. And this is again just for scrolling, right? I'm not at object z yet. I'm gonna do object x minus player x, object y minus player y. Now I'm not actually gonna move yet, right? But if I change this, if Scratch will cooperate, yeah, so I put this here, right? And then if I move, hang on, 0, 0, 0. I'm gonna set object x to 56, object y to 56. Let's see if that gets out of the way. Yeah. Alright. I'm going to set this to x0. And then just player z, right? Hold up. This is the problem I was having with collision earlier. We're going to handle scrolling in the next episode. For now, just don't add in this scrolling stuff. Just go back a couple steps, and you'll be good. Let me know if you want more episodes of this. And eventually we'll get into time travel.